Okay, welcome back to Captain Tesla. I cannot. The Captain Tesla cannot upload a consistent schedule or keep a promise of a day show today. Okay, sorry. Oh my god. Okay. Let's preface this review first by saying I cannot keep a date like ever. So don't trust a single thing I say when I say I'm gonna upload because I don't know when. I got my energy back though, so I should be able to upload soon. But you never know. You never know what's gonna happen. So let's start this up with the top. Let's start this from the top. All right. Today we will be reviewing the newest episode that has just came out today, Racing Hearts, the first adventure of Samuna Saluna, not Suna. If you ship the name Suna, then that makes me very sad, and I don't like you. Just kidding. Take a joke. Okay, so a lot of people are probably going to be wondering, why are you reviewing this episode when there's so many episodes to review? I realize that if I'm going to keep up with something, I need to be consistent with the time, of course. I'm going to be reviewing things at random, at my own random pace and schedule, of course. And why this specific episode first? Why not? And I might as well come up with this episode. So today we'll be reviewing Racing Hearts, the newest episode in the Wild House Saga that just came out today. Let's get into this. There are going to be knife fights inside the comment section, of course. I know people are going to be very angry with whatever I have to say. People are going to be on the Sam and Luna side, shipping side, they're going to be angry. People on the side that hate Sam and Luna are going to be angry. So let me just preface this right now. This is my opinion, and I didn't hate this episode. I'm not going to give it a bad rating at all. But what I will say is that there are obvious and pretty huge flaws inside the story structure of this episode. Relatively large flaws. So before I get to that, I will of course get into the positives of the episode first. And there are a lot of positives. There are a lot of things I really enjoy about this episode. Starting with Sam and Luna themselves. I felt like the chemistry behind them was relatively cute, especially inside the last 2 minutes of the episode, approximately. It was really nice to see Luna trying to keep up with Sam, as well as Sam keeping up with Luna. And while they had, of course, differences, they tried to face it. And spoiler alert, if you're watching a review, I shouldn't even have to say this, they did break up for a short period of time, and I could feel the emotion from this episode. And I honestly, this episode is relatively relatable. We've all had relationships where we just try to make it work, and we just can't make it work. We all been inside Luna's shoes, and because of that, there's some emotional depth inside here. I do feel bad for Luna, as well as Sam inside this episode. But I will say, this: the ending does really, really sell this episode for me, though. Really, really beautifully crafted ending, I will say. The way they get back together. Now, while most episodes, of course, will follow the structure point of, oh, if they don't have anything in common, they will find something in common that they're good at and be like, reconcile over that. But this episode is actually unique in a sense, because the way they reconcile is not by finding something they're good at, but by finding something that they're absolutely horrible at, that they're both horrible at, and just making fun of it and laughing about how just stupid this situation is. And I feel like that's more realistic. In reality, negativity tends to drive people together. It's ironic, it's funny, it's relatable, it actually fits into society, and it's not trying to sugarcoat it, as well as it not being predictable for an ending, of course. But I will get to the flaws first, after a couple of other mentions. Okay, excuse the but there were things, before I get to the negatives too, I also gotta mention, kind of just a couple of the comedy things. I really liked a couple of the keyboard gags, as well as the gag with Winnie and the leash. I feel like that was definitely very nicely touched. I also just love how Lori and Winnie are very supportive of Luna's relationship. I feel like that was necessary to show the point that this is normal, this is completely normal, and this is something that happens in society and it should be treated with respect. This is just how things is. But I will definitely say, all because it's a lesbian relationship, that will not affect a single bit of my opinion on the relationship. I do not feel like any special treatment will be given. But I will say I am happy that they actually went through with it and actually called it a relationship this time instead of just a stupid friendship like they did back in Frenzy, an episode I will review sometime. Okay, negatives of the episode. There are quite a few. Let's start off with probably the least offensive, and that would probably be the comedy in of itself. The comedy of this episode is kind of dry. While I do like some of the gags, like the keyboard gag as well as Lenny and the Leash, and a couple of the gags with like Lynn and Scoots, it's Lynn. If you've seen the promo, that's another negative right there. The twist ending got ruined by the promo. It was supposed to be Lynn got banned from the competition and that she like disguised herself. But in the promo, they kind of already revealed it, so it just ruins the entirety of the twist ending. I really blame Nickelodeon for that, so I won't really claim it into account. But most of the episode didn't feel like it was like trying to tell too many jokes. The episode just felt kind of like pretty deadpan, pretty straightforward with its joke telling. It really wasn't trying to be funny, it was trying to tell a story, which I do like. I'm fine with storytelling. I feel like an episode doesn't have to be funny as long as it tells this compelling story. And while I do feel like that does take an effect with the emotional benefit of Luna and Sam's relationship, there's still a flaw with the story. And that is the main structure of the story. This episode has pretty flawed structure. It goes back and forth, and it's very predictable. The story structure can easily be summed up as, Luna isn't good at this, but Sam is. And Luna's like, it's not my thing. And then literally the next scene is just, Sam is good at this, and Luna isn't. Or like, Luna is good at this, and Sam isn't. And they're like, oh, it's not my thing. Oh, it's not my thing. And they repeat the same plot structure over and over and over again. And it gets tired really, really quickly. Despite all of the positives, this entire thing, it breaks down the episode for me. Because while I do like the relationship, it's not enough to hold it to a good count. I didn't really feel like it brought it up to good, so the story structure and the comedy, of course, would bring it up. And while there isn't much comedy, the story structure is what the last leg was. And as you've seen, it got so tired and repetitive and boring. I knew it was going to happen, when it was going to happen, and how it was going to happen. I knew that, of course, Sam would be the one at this specific moment that was the one that had to suffer, and then it was Luna that also had to suffer the next one over, and then it happened over and over and over again. And this takes up at least 2/3 of the episode. If this was like a little bit of a segment, I wouldn't mind, but no, this is the bulk of the episode, which is what really brings it down. And I can see why people would say it could possibly be forced because of that, but I disagree. I feel like it wasn't really forced. I do feel like they were trying to tell a story, it's just that they didn't know how to put it together. Personally, if I think like the great return of Samuna, or Saluna, whatever you want to call it, I feel like a scavenger hunt was probably not the best decision, because there's not much you can really do in 11 minutes with a scavenger hunt, and then also put a relationship side plot at the same time. I just feel like it was probably a bit of a corporate decision to keep the kids going. I know this is probably something from Nickelodeon telling them, no, you can't just have them dating, you can't just have these lesbians on the TV making kissy marks, woo, you don't know what that will do to the kids, right? Make sure to have a scavenger hunt. And like, and they put the Samuna bits inside there to toughen it up. I don't know how the story process goes, but all I know is that the structure really brings down the episode. So what's the rating of this episode? Some of you might ask. Well, it's average. It's a high average. It's a 6 out of 10. I really did enjoy some of the bits of the episode, as well as the Samuna bits. But I know people will kill me, and people will quote me in the comment section, trying to call me out on something and whatnot. So I'll say it again, this is my opinion. This is a 6 out of 10 episode. It was close to being good. I almost considered it Golden Tesla. But the story structure really brought it down. The structure is the backbone of a show, and as you'll learn from my reviews, I care very much about how predictable and structureful an episode is. An episode without structure, an episode with poor structure, poor pacing, becomes a hazard. An episode with very slow pacing becomes boring. An episode of high pacing becomes a complete cluster. An episode of very jarring pacing, where it mixed up high and then suddenly low for no reason, becomes very jarring to the eye and disruptive. It's almost kind of weird. Structure of the plot is completely important when it comes to writing a story, and here it just felt bland and kind of rushed a little. All in all, it's a decent episode with a bad structure, decent, somewhat alright jokes, and some Luna bits that are definitely worth the time. I do recommend this one at least a watch for your own personal opinion, and I would not say that I wouldn't go back to this episode. If it came on the TV, I would of course be fine with watching it. I just feel like there are much more. It just feels like a missed opportunity. So that was the rating of Racing Hearts. I'm so happy that you all listened to this rating, and I will see you all next time whenever I do my next review. Hope y'all listened. Hope y'all didn't get angry. Hope y'all don't go to the comment sections writing me death threats and stuff because I said an episode with the Luna. Hope y'all don't accuse me of homophobia just because I said an episode with Luna is not good. Seriously though, if you do that, then you really, really need to get a life. Well, I'll see y'all next time. This was Captain Tesla, and I am out.